Does it rotate? No.
You can. Can you see the extreme?
1, 2.
Okay. Alright, just everyone just log on to your log into your computers.
Yes. Okay.
That's first step.
Why does it say this funny thing which wasn't there before? There's a something about tab apps.
Ignore it.
If you put out the mouse and stuff, unless you close the glass.
Then I'll get stuff in so that.
Oh, you have the hand.
Pretend that there's no mouse.
Yes.
Okay, what now?
Okay, so while you guys sign in and do your signing in things, this Python course thing is pretty basic. Not all of the complexities of Python will be covered. It's just a rudimentary understanding. So, yeah, you can actually go way beyond what I'm going to attempt to go through here. But it also gives you some basic idea of how things are done, what can be done, and how they are done.
I keep talking about it.
Yeah. So, like by the end of this, you should be able to make some short, simple programs by yourself. That can, like, coding is meant to make small, repetitive, and tedious tasks simple. So that you're not doing it, the computer is. Computer's the one doing all the work. You just get the output and you live on with the rest of your day. So that kind of thing is very useful because
let's say all the vowels of the alphabet, then you do something, you count A, E, I, O, U, then you have the list. You take this and do something. Okay.
Yeah, so given that output can be very useful to you, and you don't have to sit around number crunching everything all the time. So with coding comes the code and where it's run. For our coding platform, something called IDE, Integrated Developer Unit, environment, we're going to use this website called replit.com, replit.com. It's an online IDE, so you can type the code there and it runs there. It does all in one basically. Because previously, what I did was I had to download the language onto my computer, then download another program onto my computer, which is the editor. So you need an editor, a language, and then a console. But here, all three are in one, so it's very simple.
Console is a program.
Console is the output space. So, I mean, when you eventually sign in and create your own accounts and make your own file, this will be the coding bit where you type things and magic happens. And here is where you see the magic happen. You can output things, you can input things, and it'll give you like a final value, things like that. So there on the right is your like final window in a sense. So, alright, first step will be to go to this website, replit.com.
You should make your own account in the password also.
Nah, you can sign in with Facebook or Google.
You need a Google password?
If your Google account has been created, you just create your Google password. Should be the same. If not, then use your Facebook account. Either Google or Facebook.
Okay, let me just see what I can do.
So www.repl.com.
No www, just replit.com.
replit.com.
Okay, there's Replit Python 3, is it not? There's Replit login.
Once you get there,
create and learn together.
replit.com.
No, I'm saying the word.
Replit.com. You're gonna go there immediately.
This one is it?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
Now you press sign up in the top right corner.
Okay, that's so fast.
Let's go sheeted.com. Oh damn.
Then sign with Google.
Then sign up with Google or Facebook, up to you, whichever account you choose. I use Google myself.
Username. Then there's email, then there's password.
Click on either Google or Facebook to sign in with either.
Oh, okay.
And there you are. Wait first.
Yeah, but
Click on. Did you click on Google?
login is.
No, just, no,
Okay.
just click on that one.
Either click on Google or Facebook. You can sign in with either.
I remember this run command long ago when you were doing .NET what is it called that the black screen with the green thing. You type run. You want a table like this, Ali?
So his laptop is behind actually. He only just managed to log in.
No, but he's going to look at the TV, right? How's going to
No.
The previous page where I had typed this one I don't need.
You don't need to save the password.
Never.
You can forget it.
No, never. Yeah. Everyone keep over
Then
the password.
I untick this.
No, just click the word never.
Just click number.
It will be fine.
Replit apps. Star Wars material, right?
I think you can use that chair also, no? You want? Forget table for you. Huh? You're happy with that? You keep turning 180 degrees each time.
I mean, he's got a laptop to put it on his.
No, but he's.
Oh.
You can bring the chair forward so it's
I
easy.
mean, whatever he'd like to do is.
Anyway, he's happy what he's doing.
Okay, for this Replit apps thing, just
Check out apps.
click to the side of it.
Here?
Yeah.
Here or here?
Either way. Okay, let's just do it.
Set your username.
Hey, but we need to Salma, Kubra. Let's get started. First set your username.
So what I do?
Just press next.
This will do meaning for you.
Just press yes.
What's your skill level?
When you.
Just poking around.
When you.
And what are you most interested in? Learning.
Learning, is it?
Yeah.
How come you're not doing anything?
Because did you not listen to what I said?
No,
I said his laptop was slow.
Okay.
Self-learner.
Next one.
Self-learner.
Oh, self-learning.
Then press next. Actually, this part of the setup is completely new. I didn't have to do this when I signed up.
How long ago did you run it?
Almost 2 years ago. Icon 3.
Just click it.
Yeah. Just click that.
Pick 3.
Um,
Pick 1, right?
Oh.
yeah.
If you click 3, then put Python,
Ah,
Ruby, and C#.
with Python.
I mean, the website is replit.com. Oh, okay, thanks.
Where's C#?
C++.
C# on this. Okay, then put C++.
Or show 44 more details.
I don't want to load the whole list.
So C++. Okay?
C++, Ruby, and Python.
Next. Start coding an idea.
Scroll down. Click Python. Click the Python one.
This one.
Yeah. And press create record.
Create.
Blue button. Okay, and now we will wait.
We want that box instead put over there. Okay.
Google or Facebook?
That's talking. So I think it's not talking. The average is done. Okay. Yeah, okay. So now the chair. Actually, the chair was. What you should do is just make the chair be against it and push this here.
Before you half and you got something.
No. If you put the pen in the middle of the thing, you won't have to bring the chair here, you set it in the corner. Yeah. Okay, you're looking right, good work, right?
Yeah.
Watching my lick.
Can the purple shirt learn open here?
Oh, so can.
No, you do this black shirt.
No, I'll get purple shirt.
Yeah. Black shirt.
No! There are 3 parts mate.
Take outside, and then I hope you do it fast.
This one's bigger, huh? How much is it? This new one, right? No, it's okay. Bob things continues to look and heavy for some years is huge thing. It's a chest being like that. Okay, what my phone and this stuff. I mean, one you just take out the plug from the phone. Be careful, it's on actually. And the 85% actually. 37 steps to do. So you can see now. Yeah. Just going to keep doing this. Very close doing this. Yeah, going to do that, you stop. You start again. Is it next door or the one after that?
Probably the one after.
That's why you're not supposed to work on Sunday, it's against the rules, no. But then, you must go and complain and
Okay.
and then it's an issue.
Okay, let's hold it for now. Alright. Now everyone
Oh, oh, that's right. Okay. Yes, yes.
Okay, so now everyone should be at basically this screen, but white. So I want you all to go to settings, which will be on the left side of this column. You see this little settings logo on the screen here?
Yeah.
Just click it. And once we click, it'll show you some settings. I'll just tell you what settings they should be. Just put side by side. Theme is dark. Font is large, or you can choose like a different size you like. I just like using large. And then it says indent type. Put tabs. Indent size is 2. Keybinds is default. Wrapping is soft wrap. And the last one, code intelligence, will be disabled.
Disabled. Okay.
Yeah, disabled. I'll say it one more time. Layout is side by side. The theme is dark. Font size is large. Indent type is tabs. Indent size is 2. And keybinds are default. There is a soft wrap for wrapping. And code intelligence is disabled. Everyone got their settings down already?
Side by side, dark, large, tabs,
Yep.
2, default, soft wrap, disabled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone done? Okay. So then, this is your basically your coding interface. If I click up here at files now, at the top here there's files. So if I click on it, you will have a main.py.
Yeah.
Main.py is the file that you're currently writing your code to. So it's like a text file, but except the Python language reads this as its own file. So it sees the text in this file as, okay, this is Python code. I will read it as Python code, and not as some Word document. That's what the py in main.py stands for. So you will have files on the left. For much larger projects, you will probably be using multiple files, but we're not going to get into that. But this interface is very nice, so that it allows you to create lots of files just as you wish. But we're only using one, so that's fine. One at a time. And this central window is, of course, where you actually code. This is the IDE, Integrated Development Environment. This is where you can type things and make them appear. And this is your console, your input and your output. So, here you see, I have printed here, print hello world. Hello world is the famous line that everyone uses to test the computers are working. Because that's always the thing to say. It's the simplest of programs that can be run. All it does right now, actually no, I will press run and then you can see what it does over here. So if I click run, it says hello world. So right now all this program can do is when I press run, it runs this first statement, it executes the first statement and says print hello world. So the Python code sees the print and says, okay, I need to output something. And hello world is in the brackets. So that's the thing it must output. This is the basic quintessential first program. Quotation mark helps identify what it is. This is something called a string. I didn't want to talk about it until later, but since you asked, a string is a certain type of variable, a certain type in Python. That's a bit complex, but just know that these are words basically. Strings are like everyday words and characters and spaces. Now I want you all to try and type this in to your.
Right now it says not sure what to do. Run examples. So
just start typing.
No space, huh?
Nope.
Is single or double quotation mark? Single.
Either works actually. Now once you're done, press run and make sure that it works.
Okay. A bit small.
If it's a bit small, you can just zoom in. Control plus.
Hello world.
Hey, hello world. Amma has got it.
My world is small lowercase than me.
Very good. Also can.
Okay.
The world is more informal, more approaching, more acceptable. Have you gotten the result?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is Hello World. The quintessential programming first time starter program. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is a string. A string is a type of variable, a type of object in Python. There are lots of different objects. We've got strings, which are, like I said, the words, the spaces, like sentences, those are all strings. And there are also, because this is a computer, there are numbers. So there are things called ints, integers, essentially. Integers are, of course, just all the numbers, all integer numbers.
Only for words,
String is for words, yes. But they can be combined with other things later, so I'll get to that. Ints can go from negative infinity to positive infinity. So, yeah, you don't have to worry when your integer is negative. After int, Don't need to the lamp.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Do this first.
Everyone else's computer power okay.
But usually it's there, we just have to do it. Sit on. Stop drinking, irritate me. What's going on? I'm going to do. Should just take a straight line. It's not really just put it underneath. Yeah, okay, reach it. Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay, so like back to what I was saying, there are integers, there are strings. Next comes a little cousin of the integer, the float. The float is basically a decimal. That's basically what it is. As long as it has a decimal point, it is automatically a float, not an integer. So when you're calculating something and you divide, and the remainder is non-zero, and you convert it to an integer because you need it for later, you have to keep in mind that you may need it to be a float instead. Because if you cut out the remainder, some parts of your calculations may be wrong, you'll miss out some numbers, and that just generally wouldn't be a nice idea. So that's float. And the final simple type I'm going to go through is the bool, or short for boolean. It is a binary type, and what I mean by that is that it has two possible values, true or false. Technically there's like none, which is like when it's not there, but it's just true or false. So it'll be true or false.
Oh,
True or, sorry.
any reason why number 2 is left?
I like the empty space. Because Python code in general, it's designed and meant to be easy to read. So that when you look at it, you can get what it means a lot faster than other languages. Its readability is very, very nice. Because contrasting to what you may think about coding, you spend a lot less time coding and a lot more time reading at what you coded because something has gone wrong and you're thinking about how to change what went wrong. You need to find what went wrong. So you spend more time looking than actually typing.
Most of it doesn't look at it.
Yeah, that's why dark mode, big spacing, large font, do whatever makes you feel comfortable looking at it because you can be looking at it a long time. Next, after that, we have simple operations. These are integer types, but with these types, specifically int and float, you can do basically the operations you can do in your calculator. There's the plus, there's minus, there's times, which you use as the star, and divide, which is this. But there's another form of divide, which is a double slash. This divide is different from the first one in the fact that the first one works exactly as you expect. 5 divided by 2, 2.5. 6 divided by 3 is 2. But with this double divide, what it does is it takes only the quotient. But sometimes you don't need the remainder, other times you do. But in the case that we don't need the remainder, we use this double divide, this double slash, to get only the quotient. So 5 divided by 2 will just be 2, not 2.5. So the decimal just cut off. And then to raise something to a power of another thing, square it, would be to use 2 multiplication signs. So if I put 3 on this side and 3 on the other side, that's 3 power 3. Or I can do 3 power 4.
Oh, you don't keep adding number of stars.
Or 2 power 4. Yeah. All the other symbols work as you would reasonably expect. You just put numbers on the either side of them and you can get an output. That's fine.
Does plus
And-
plus and minus minus do anything?
No, plus and minus don't do anything. But actually, in other coding languages, they do. There are shortcuts for something else.
C++.
Now, let's try and use some of those math symbols I just talked about earlier. I want you to type this on the screen, but instead of the math symbol, just try using one of the symbols I showed you earlier. Any symbol, just to get used to it. Plus, minus, multiplication, division, quotient division, and exponentiation. 5. So you don't have to use all. Just try typing a few, make sure they work. So if I say, example, I do plus, you get 5 plus 2.
The green arrow, green thing to
Yep.
operate.
5 plus 2, and then mine will say 7.
Okay. You got many decimals.
Okay. Put a number and then do it.
Yes.
So you pick a symbol between the 5 and the 2, let's say, between 5 and 2. Maybe a star or a.
Then run.
Click the play button.
5/2 star 4.
Oh, you put so many.
Wow, okay.
2 times 4 8.
Is it like left to right or is it like
It is left to right. It's, remember BODMAS, parentheses and everything? It follows that. So if you need something to compute first before something else, you can use the round brackets, parentheses.
4 minus
2. Oops. Syntax error, invalid syntax.
The first of many errors, that is okay. So think about what the code you've just written is. What is the part that you typed that is wrong?
Probably power of 5 double slash.
Power of 5 double slash what? What's at the end of the double slash?
Oh, before that it was 5/3 double asterisk 5 double slash.
Okay, so everyone have fun messing around with these numbers?
Okay. Here,
Yes.
I did 5/2
Yep.
star 4 minus 2 plus 1 star 5.
Wow,
It
okay.
should be 35, right? So you
But
just
you have to remember that
multiplication
the
is
multiplication is first, and then subtraction comes later.
Okay,
So is your guess built that way? Does that take into account?
Okay, let's see. Up multiplication term. 2 times 4 8. Okay. So in that level, 5. Confuse the computer.
The computer will do 5. It will do this as one term, and then this as another term. So it will do from here to here as 1 with a 4 as well, and then it will do the 1 times 5, and then it will do the minus and the plus.
Okay, 8 times 5, 3. Is it? Okay, this is 8 here.
Yes.
And this is
5.
5.
8 minus 2
6 plus 5
is
is
11.
It's there.
Yeah. So Python programs are of course not only one line. So you can press enter to create a new line and then write something there.
Move the cursor back, is it?
Move the cursor. The cursor you can move by pressing up, down, and left and right on your keyboard. I can move the cursor up and down, left and right.
So you mentioned about integer, right? So for numbers, you don't need to put integer, but print is okay.
Print is okay because the computer recognizes these as integers already. It's just the number 5. So the Python code is like, okay, that's the integer 5.
So not necessary to put integer when you're using numbers.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It depends on the scenario. And for things like this for this division over here, let's say you wanted the answer, whatever it was, to be a integer. But sorry, the one above, my bad. You wanted the one above to be an integer for whatever reason. Even though you have the double slash, let's say you wanted the single one. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. And what type is 2.5? Sorry? Decimal. So what's it called here? Said it earlier.
Float.
Float is correct. So it's a float. Floating point number. I don't know what's called that.
Oh.
But let's say you didn't want a decimal. You really want an integer because you need it for something else. How do you make sure that your output will be an integer if it's not? Let's say you couldn't use double slash. Double slash will produce an integer instead. But you wanted to make just an integer from it. This is where you type int here and you put brackets around the expression you want to confirm to be an integer. So how the computer will read this is it'll compute 5 divided by 2, 2.5. Okay. And then it'll read integer. So it says, okay, I need to convert this float to an integer. And hopefully if I do this right, it should just print normally. And it does. 2.5 became a 2. So keep that in mind. This is how you convert from one type to another. Is this syntax. Syntax is the way you write things. Each round bracket must be followed by another round bracket. It must always come in pairs. You can't just write 5 plus and leave it there. It's 5 plus something. Syntax errors are so common. Don't get discouraged if you get them. They are pervasive and invasive and just generally not a good time. So, and that's okay. So now we've got the basic understanding of maths operations. Now let's start with a little maths problem. I will put the problem up on screen. Alright, exercise 1. Flight time. We need to calculate the flight time of an upcoming trip. We are flying from LA to Sydney, covering a distance of 11,949 kilometers. Very long. The plane flies at an average speed of 885 kilometers an hour. Calculate and output the total flight time in hours. Think about what you have to do with the numbers here. Think about how to process them and try writing your own answer.
$11,949.
11949 km and 885 km per hour. Oops. So in hours.
Ah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. 176247.75.
Ah,
That's a long time.
I got exactly 13.
Okay. 11949 times 885 by 60.
Hello, 10 times for that.
Divide that.
Can you see?
40 plus EQ.
Okay, okay.
The right people in school do not
Okay,
pass go.
885, then what? Times 60.
இல்லைம்மா சும்மா 11949
Because
divided by
if
85.
you're trying to progress beyond that point, so you will encounter an error here.
Yeah,
Once it becomes an error, it will stop there and say, hey, you had an error, fix it. So you have to fix it.
You can't do anything. You have to make sure. This is why the ultimate programmer dream is to write a code that can compile. Compile means run properly. One shot, no problems, works
Oh.
perfectly as intended. I've only gotten that once.
Very short program.
Yeah, it was a short program, but it's still nice to have. 13.
Yeah. You see, when first I did it without the double inside the cake, then I found a lot of decimal point. Then look at the question, you see in hours. Didn't say anything about minutes or millimeter or anything. So you put the bracket inside, then you get just the round number. Is that what you're supposed to do? That round number now, right? You see?
I would have also accepted a decimal number.
Oh,
That's
okay.
okay. So that is the exercise 1. It is 13 hours. And alright. So believe it or not, that is part 1 out of 6 of my grand scheme.
Wow, yay.
Part 2 is not that long actually. But it's 10:26, 10:30. Would you want to cut it or do you want to continue?
10 minutes, okay.
No, how long more do you need for the second part?
Like 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, that's
Okay, alright.
I tried the trick question where the things in mouse or something. Calculate, convert. Lucky time hasn't changed from hours and minutes. Now you're going to do the other way, is it? Because I answered one question.
Okay, so part 2. Part 1 is just the basics.
Just now, how did you take out all the thing of this?
Okay, these I use keyboard shortcuts. I use a lot of them and use them whenever I can.
You use backspace, you do it?
If you press backspace, you keep pressing backspace, you go like this.
Yeah.
Takes a while, doesn't
You
it?
can't block and.
Can. Let me press Ctrl Z.
Control Z, yeah.
The Ctrl Z is undo. To select everything one shot is Ctrl A.
So now,
Control A. Everything should be highlighted in blue. Then if you press backspace, after pressing Ctrl A, everything should vanish. Control A?
Okay. Because the cursor has to be at the center screen.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
எனக்கு highlight is blue.
Yeah. Press backspace. Okay. Yeah, so back to the default question.
So again, control A open.
Because you may have been pressing on the console window.
This one, the cursor has to be in the center.
Because you're backspacing the text, the code that you wrote, so you must be your cursor
So
on the code that you
these
wrote.
things have.
Oh, she wants to erase the thing on the right hand side, the right color console.
Also can. To erase, I have that as well. Because sometimes when you're working on a program and you want to just declutter and like there's things on the screen you don't need to see, there is this button, this little just as clear. So if just clear, your numbers that you printed out previously will be drawn and you'll just be left with this. The Python version you're running and as of when. Okay, so part 1 is done, which is the basics, the math, automations. You could make a calculator if you want, but we're not there yet. Part 2 can also.
It's only for this semester. Okay.
Part 2 is all about strings. It's very short though. So strings are the thing you see right here. That is a string. It is characterized by quotes, double quote or single quote on either end, and usually something inside. So this is a valid string, and this is also a valid string. So you can use single quotes or double quotes. And let's say you want to print something that is a bit long.
Abracadabra.
I'm not supposed to do it.
Yeah, something long.
That is how I spell it in my terms. I don't okay, no, it's fine. Let's say you want. Okay, if we print this and we run it, it is going to print abracadabra as one word on one line. Let's say you wanted something that's very, very long, and you don't want it to be all in one line. It just looks bad. So you want to break it up. You want to use another line. There is something called the backslash or an escape character. This escape character, when placed inside a string, will process it as, okay, I need to break up this line here, and I'll put the remainder on the next line, the line that follows, the line under. Now the backslash character is found, the key right above your enter key. You may not have ever really noticed it, but it's there. Backslash and slash are different. Slash is for math, backslash is for escape characters like this. If you want a way to remember, you can remember backslash is the one with a negative gradient. That's how I remember it. So let
The question mark code together.
question mark is the standard slash.
Okay.
Backslash is the one above the enter key.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's say we want to split this into two words, abra and then cadabra. So I'm going to place my cursor here. I will press backslash, and now there are options for me to split it up. I could put in a new line, or I could just space it out a bit. So the two escape characters I will teach you here is the new line and a tab. Tab creates a space, new line creates a new line, fairly standard. So if I create a new line here, you can see that it's turned pink. So Python recognizes that is an escape character. And if I want to tab, I can put backslash and T for tab. And if I run it, it'll be abra, cadab, then the tab, and then bre.
There's backslash B is also a escape character.
Possibly. I don't know all the backslash
Just now when you put
commands.
T, the B was in the color.
You can always try. Let's see what it does.
N mention
N is in
N is new line.
new line.
So it will print on a new line. Abra cadre. It just ate it up. So what I think happened is it registered backslash B as a character, but maybe it's not registered to anything. So it didn't do anything. There's a lot to learning Python and things like that. It's very hard for one person to know everything, so I constantly have to go and check websites as to what things do. Because you can never fully remember everything a program can do. So don't be afraid if you have to look up things constantly, because that's what I do anyway.
Does the program change?
In what way?
I mean, like, do they have a new edition or version? Or
They can be updated, but the stable releases are stable for quite some time. And even so, if they do change, it's unlikely that your programs will be affected because of the current complexity of programming. Unless they come out with Python 4, which may happen, I don't know if it will.
So Python 3 is the one that's...
Python 3 is the one we're using.
How long was Python 1 and 2 around before 3?
Python 2 was around in I think 2005, and Python 1 was around 2000. I had to check the dates. I
I'm
might
just
be,
wondering whether every 5 years they change it.
I might be mixing them up with Ruby, which is similar. I have to check that later.
Okay, now, every few years the chances they might change.
Yeah. So these are the backslash, the escape characters.
Okay, so go the forward slash will show what? Divide. Is it?
Forward slash is your mathematical thing. Divide, double divide. And backslash is for things like this.
Print has to be lowercase p. Is it?
Print must be lowercase.
Like print Madagascar photo don't panna. Place back. Most recent call last file main Name here print is not defined.
Whenever you get an error, always take the time to read what the error says. It's doing its best to try and tell you what's wrong. So always try and seek understanding. You know it's frustrating because the same fella that keeps throwing you errors whenever you try. But read it slowly. Think about where you've gone wrong.
Teacher.
Teacher. Aha.
Mad August.
Yeah. Yep, that's how it's done. Okay, so those are escape characters. Now let's say you have a big chunk of text that it's very long, but you want to keep it in a certain way. Oops. And you've typed it in a certain way already, but when you print it, it comes out differently, and you don't like that. So what you can do here is do something called a multi-line text. You can use triple quotes. So here we're just using one quote on each side. But if you were to use triple, which
So
means
triple quote, you put the single quote 3 times, or you put a double and add a single?
both can.
Or triple of whichever it is. Okay.
Yeah, or whatever you're using. Just make sure they match. And let's say you want to write words in this way, and then words in that way. Now if all goes right, note how there is a tab here which I've put in because I want my words to be that way, and then the tab has been replicated here. So with multi-line text or multi-line comments, whichever you prefer, this allows you to print your text in a way such that the text is preserved. You get to see it the way you wanted it to be seen. This is useful for someone who's creating like a text element or creating graphics through text, which is actually kind of difficult, but it's possible. And things will be in a certain way.
Something like that. Some poetry where you want to be main.
Yes, yeah. Because for paragraphing and like stanzas, you need it to be formatted in a certain way.
No, last time when there was some, what was it called? There's one time when the software, you had a horizontal line. The bottom half is with all the things like indent, tab, all come out highlighted and square brackets. So that's the spacing of the thing there. Then on top is the text that you see as a normal text. So this way you can see what's happening to it. Now no more. Now it's this type of thing. You know? Because you're right, on the right is output, right?
Yeah.
See, so what's happened now is the Python tree, at least for all the Pythons, instead of doing it horizontally, it's done vertically. In other words, on the right is what used to be on top, and the stuff below, the commands, is bottom half.
But this is, I definitely say this is
Here's the
better.
indent key, now you don't know where it's going.
Your indent key is your tab, but I'll get to that later.
Just now, you were doing that three quotes.
Yes.
Right? That is, what did you say that is for?
This is for multi-line text.
No, okay.
Because it spans multiple lines,
Okay.
and it keeps the text the way you've typed it.
And then you're not typing that in a single line, like
No, like
three quotes, and then the line, word in this way and that way. You didn't do it in the number one itself. Like,
yeah, like these are the word in this is on line 2, and words in
line
that is on line 3. So the print function, because it has brackets, it'll know from where to start reading and where to end reading. And then the multi-line comments show you where the words are.
So here
So-
for number 3 you gave a tab, is it?
Number 3, I gave a tab.
So you didn't put the tilde. as in like letter T and then.
I could put the T as well. I could choose to put the T as well, but I decided to just press the tab key on my computer. Tab key is the one above caps lock, if you guys are wondering.
Okay, that's
Tab key is the key above caps lock, if you guys are wondering.
Oh,
Backslash T.
is it important where the cursor is when you press the run?
No. You just have to make sure your syntax is correct before you run. And you don't see any programming errors coming up. But don't divide by 0 or anything. I have divided by 0 before and it took me ages to find out why. Okay. So that is it for those multi-line comments. Where is my cursor? Okay. Now we have string operations. Now, strings and operations, when you think of the word operation, you would think math. Plus, minus, times, divide. Strings can kind of do the same thing too. And I will show you how. If I press backspace and think backspaces. Please don't hang.
Oh, the T is a capital letter, huh?
Yeah, that's because I accidentally pressed caps lock, but that's fine. So let's create a string. Let's say I want to type this. Here and there, black and white. Very good. Did you use the escape character? You did. Good usage of the escape character. It can help save space actually, because the tab, depending on your programming language or function, it can function as 4 characters. But backslash T is only 2 characters. So if optimization is very much required, that is a better solution for that scenario. So let's say, back to this, string operations. I wanted to type space and pineapple. That's what I want my output to be. But I have to run 2 different things. The one must say space, and one must say pineapple. I don't know if they will produce them or not. So I want to add whatever 2 results and print the output as 1. With strings, you can do that. So instead of doing this, we can put these as different strings, space and pineapple, and then add them. Space plus pineapple. And if I run it, you get space pineapple.
But it visually looks the same as if you just wrote the word space.
Do you know why it's not appearing? To make something appear, what is the function, what is the thing you've been putting for us all the time? Fine.
Prashant,
Yes.
instead of that, you just give a space and write, right? Space.
Also can, but let's say your program will return a word at random, and you want to put those 2 words together. You don't know what those words will be.
Oh,
So if we don't know what they're gonna be, but we still want them to be shown as 1, we can concatenate or add the strings together
Yeah, I think
and put as 1. Is it because of this?
Oh, it's been a space there?
Yes. Because concatenating strings, just because they're different words, doesn't mean the computer will know that they're different words. You can use that to your advantage actually. So if you need a space, add the space over here.
okay, same. Yeah, for me also like space.
Mm.
Give a space.
Yes. So that is string concatenation. String concatenation can only be done with string and string, which makes sense because you only add 2 things that are alike.
You know, how to remember all these things?
Lots
Keep doing it again
of
and
practice.
again.
Lots of practice.
That's
It's okay, don't worry, because after this, after I talk about string operations, comes your homework.
Uh-oh.
So you will get time to practice.
Yeah, you want to
Don't
I'm
worry.
going to ask for lesson 2. Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah, I need this first. Yeah. Okay.
let's go back to one string now. That was string concatenation or string addition. Now we're going to do string multiplication. Multiplication, you use the multiplication symbol. And here you don't multiply with another string. It is only an integer. Don't put a float because that doesn't work, and I can show you right now that it does not. It'll say can't multiply sequence by non-int type float. So strings can only be multiplied by integers. So I want you to take a second. What do you think will be the output of this? Pineapple times 2. The word
Pineapple,
twice.
pineapple.
Pineapple.
Pineapple, pineapple. Pineapple, pineapple.
Oh, there's no gap, you see, huh?
No gap. Unless you include the gap in your string already. And if you do so, let's change the number to like 9.
You automatically go different lines.
Hold on.
Oh, it's become a square, huh?
It's taking a while. So yeah, if I include the space, this will all be printed on the same line, which can look pretty mangled if it shows up, but it's not, so that's fine. It'll just be pineapple, pineapple, pineapple,
Move
pineapple,
the
pineapple.
thing left.
You can move the margin to the left or right. So here it's finally come out. It looks a bit weird. And if you would like your console to be bigger, I like mine to be a bit small because it's not the main event. You can move it to the left and right to make things look a bit nicer. Yeah. But-
Again space, but still it is together. And
Did you put the space here?
space after the also see the last
Yes,
letter.
the space must be inside the quotes. Oh, and by the way, if you still have your settings menu, you can close it by pressing settings again. If you still have your settings menu open, you can close it by clicking the gear icon, the settings again.
Okay.
You don't need to have space, eh? You know, after a quotation mark, there seems to be a space before the space and a space before the line.
That's true.
Do you need to have space or not?
It is not necessary, but it is nice to read. And readability is a very, very nice thing
So
to
it's,
have.
it's not affect the quotation.
Yeah. If you want super condensed code, you can remove those two spaces. But I guess I feel like readability goes a long way. Unless I'm aiming for small code, I don't go for this. I don't go for that, I'll go for spaces instead.
So should you be worried if the triangle becomes a square and you wait for a while?
Triangle becomes a square? Oh, yeah, it'll run for a while. Because all this is based online. This is an online code editor.
So where's it coming from? Some server somewhere?
You type your code here, it goes to the server, the servers run it, and it'll give you output down from the server and down to you. You could run it on your computer as well, but that involves installing programs and everything. And this is just faster to set up. Like it took like less than 10 minutes.
So is it a cloud thing?
It is a cloud thing, I guess you could say. Like all these files, like if I were to exit this file right now and I come back, this line will still be there. It's saved. So I guess it's like cloud coding. I
The
guess.
last thing you saved or all the stuff in Confucius?
Last thing you did is saved, and also all before, because next to this is this, the file history. So let's say you made an edit that you didn't want, you can go to your history and see what it is you've changed. Then from there, do something about it.
So if you click that history, how do you get out of it?
Let's find out. I don't actually use the REPL history because, like,
Oh.
I don't really have a need.
It's become yeah.
Expand day.
Wow.
So if I click expand day, what happens?
It's all the different times we did something from 950 something.
It's all the edits you've made, I think.
Select a revision from the left to compare to the latest. Track board changes, your repo git. It's git. So the board carrying something.
Yep. Anyway, so let's go to our file again. Let's press back, our famous arrow at the top. Fun fact, if you want to do that using a keyboard shortcut, you can. Pressing alternate and left always brings you back to the previous page, both in your internet browser and your Windows Explorer.
Yes, left.
Both work.
Left arrow.
Keyboard arrow, yeah, left arrow. Alternate, left arrow.
The one that says home also.
Yeah.
Now we have another box saying new, draw directly in your repo. Add any draw.
That just
copy. Go. Oh, the main is still there. So I press the settings and then you go.
That's just when you came back, it might still appear. Like mine appeared again. Mine is files. So I can click this to disappear.
In Canada. There's one photo of Vishali's son. You and him. The place, the game and he had the face.
Oh yeah, you can get me first one. You had long glasses, gone any glasses.
Glasses, no, but also for Shankar Madhuri.
Actually, both boys are wearing specs.
Sriram looks different.
My cousin?
Vishali's son and the Chicago father looks severe.
The elder boy is Sridhar. Sridhar Anand, and then later the third boy is something else. Okay, homework. Use your right and tap to the print. Nasty spot highlight on the wall. Circular mass is 8.4, 0.4 meters. The factory says they'll charge $25 per square meter for the paint job. So they'll calculate the area of the get the contractor's attention by printing out here's the money, followed by printing the amount on the next line, how much you need to fork out, take 5 as the answer. You can type something out. Okay. So do we erase the previous stuff when you're typing or just right there?
You can, or you can leave the things there if you want to refer to what you did to make things work. I feel like it's good to leave things there if you like.
Hey, there's something.
Oh, sorry. Let's do this.
Oh. Here's the money.
No, I can't see the how much we need to
Fork out. How much you need to pay?
Pay. Take 5 as
okay.
3.14.
That's 3.14. So
Why
I think some is white, some is color.
Oh, for here, because this is plain text, and Python is trying to read this plain text as code, which is why some things are colored and some things aren't.
For example, here's the money that
Yeah.
stuff is in
Yeah, this is because of the quotation marks here. But I want you to put this quotation mark here.
going and the maximum market is 2 pi r.
2 pi r
Hello, that's
circumference.
circumference.
Okay.
Area is pi square.
Pi times the radius times the radius.
Pi
Pi.
radius and radius.
ஆமா.
அப்ப வந்து radius times radius
Followed by printing the amount in the next line.
Is it radius? Half of that is the radius.
Mm-hmm.
So 0.4 divided by 2. Times 2.
Oh, it says name error.
2 times radius is diameter.
2 times radius is diameter. Say that. 2 pi r.
Times. Oh, I see. I know this is this. but I don't get the answer. No? Oh, we're not going to calculate the answer. You just want to put the formula there. Is it?
Sorry?
You're not supposed to get the answer as a number, but just the
The
formula.
output I want is that you must write, here's the money, and then on the next line, put the number.
One number.
Yeah.
But I got the formula coming out again. So to get the number over very decent. The next line.
Well, I wish this isn't homework anymore. That's fine. This is in your string.
Yeah.
So it's marking every character as a word that must be outputted.
Oh, I should have got
This
the
must be
number first.
computed first. Now this must be computed later.
Oh, later.
So you can choose to write the text first, and on the next line, put those in brackets and calculate.
Next line.
Are you like your line 8?
It's just enter.
Hold on. Here's good. Now there's no need for any int or anything.
Inflow to I'll let you know.
Not quite there yet. It's close though.
See. Yeah, so that's the example of the calculation a bit.
And you also have to type the here's the money as well. Ooh, okay.
I just realized something.
Then you step print. Print is how you output things. Without it, you can't really output anything.
Yeah, it's not calculating.
It shows the number, but it doesn't.
You need the plus.
That's because it's in your string. Because these numbers are in your string, it's treated as a sentence. And it reads it as a sentence. So, here's the end of the sentence, right? Here's the money.
So if you go to interview.
No. What you should put this in another print statement of its own.
Open print.
Because yeah, you can put print as many things as you want, as you leave them here.
Oh,
And put your brackets. Okay. Oh, okay. That's strange. Before the means came back for a second. Let's see. Loser. Print its own print statement, so it must be the word print before it.
yeah, anyway.
Oh, okay. Something like this. Now let you know that even this still won't work. It's very close, but it's not there yet. Strings are for sentences. But that last time isn't a sentence. Think about what you remove. Okay, same as upper. The
That's not calculating, huh?
That's why I say.
so these numbers, you put it in quotes. Quotes are for
Sentence.
sentences and words. These are numbers. So do you need to put quotes or not?
Don't want.
அதுதான்.
அதுதான் அப்புறம் கிளம்பிட்டாங்க இந்த ஃபார்முலா கரெக்டாக சொல்லுவேன்
That one primary school.
தெரியலடா நான் பிரைமரி ஸ்கூல் போனேன் இவ்வளோனா டென்ஷன் ஆகிட்டு பார்த்தோம்
Alright, so $25 per square meter.
அதுமே தான் கால்குலேட் பண்ணுவேன்
So that means it must be 25 times the area, correct?
சரி ஏரியா எப்படி கண்டுபிடிக்கணும்
Every area. 7.
Okay, 2 pi 2 this is the pi value this is
That's circumference. What is area?
சரி எப்படி கண்டுபிடிக்கணும்
Area pi times radius times the radius.
wait pi is 3.14 pi times
Radius.
This says EOL while scanning
so
string
radius
with
times
the-
radius is diameter right
Radius plus radius is diameter.
so how do I find out 0.4 divided by diameter by 2
Diameter? Oh, I see. Whoa.
Yeah, 0.4 is the diameter.
divided by 2
I'll be honest, I put diameter there as a trick question and today I got tricked by it.
times
Yeah,
2
you just take that, put 0.2 instead.
times 2
Times, no, must be 5 times radius times radius. So it's
I know
3.14
that.
times this times, then put that again.
same number
0.4 divided by 2.
same one instead of that I put 2 then the calculation
You know, you put 0.4 divided by 2 and then you put the 2 asterisks and put the 2 for the square. It will square the denominator and everything. Right? That's the problem. Because that's the last digit we saw. So I think I just manually make it 0.2 first. But I'm still not getting the thing, I'm getting syntax error. So you don't press print, you don't type print, you type int, doesn't work.
You don't have to type int or. I will accept your answer whether it's a float or not. Whether I'll accept your answer as a float or integer or whatever. You must output the right thing.
is it okay
Okay. Alright, so this is the area, right?
okay times
Times what?
the
What's
25 per square
Ah,
meter.
that's
so அது
fine,
போடணும் அது இதே லைன்லயே போட்டுடலாமா
ஆமா,
Plus
போடலாம்.
ES.
Still got syntax error.
I'm not got the correct answer.
What did you do?
Ask the instructor
Oh wait, okay, no, you're almost there. I forgot. Here's the money, other coding there. Put that and then put the number. You're very close already. So this will be the curve.
அது அதே லைன்லயே போட்டுடலாமா
Hold on. Okay. Right. Okay, direct. This should be here. I'll just click one. But the text comes before the number.
அதுக்கப்புறம்
So put this up here and the number down here.
Yeah.
Cut this. Yeah, swap both positions.
Oh, the 25 can't be in front.
Can. Why not?
So what does it work? Where is the...
Okay, so go to line 8.
Yeah.
Alright. You have your print function. It's got one open parentheses.
Oh, it must be...
Where's the other third?
Here it says end of line was scanning with string literal. End of line generally means something is missing at the end.
Pi R is it?
Yeah, pass your homework.
Yeah, the report now.
Until pi r
I'll give you a
squared
chocolate
தானே?
later.
Square
அப்ப
lah.
வந்து we can do that thinking you said like
Yeah,
Yeah,
also.
you put double asterisk lah. They put 2 lah.
Also can.
Right?
Wait,
Because to the power of, you see, double asterisk is power of. In this case, squared, so it's 2.
so
His cube will be 3. Right? 1, 2, 4, 10 is positive 2, 8. 1, 2, 4.
0.4
2, 4,
double
8,
2
16, 8,
Then?
2, 5, 6, 7, 2, 8, 6.
double asterisk. Huh?
If you put double asterisks now, you'll get 0.4 divided by 2 squared. Not 0.4 whole thing squared.
Under that one.
You must put brackets of 0.4 divided by 2. Then if you put power, it will work fine.
3.4 and here there is a bracket. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then put another bracket at the end of 2.
Here.
Yeah.
And then one more asterisk.
Yes.
That's what I thought, you see. Without the bracket,
And then the 2 for
you get
power 2.
the, without the bracket, the denominator 2 is the one that's made to the power of 2, right? So that is the problem.
Then it's 0.4 to the power of what? Pi r squared.
Yeah.
So power of
2.
what is it?
And the double asterisk is 2 together.
No. It just says something is to the power of something.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But you need to know the number.
And then plus.
And then times 25. 25 equals to
And the other three times. Times 25.
what's this though? What is this here?
Here's the money.
No, in case the money must be before the number.
Before the money.
Yeah, I want you to put here's the money, then below that the number.
That was the name.
That was the money.
Here's the money should come before the number. Yeah, it's before the number.
Okay. You
Here's this-
basically had the answer, but I'll explain why you didn't. Because I forgot something, which is annoying, and I thought I written down everything, but I didn't.
Wow.
That's not actually okay.
Okay, what I'm saying here is the money should come before the number when it's before the number.
No, sorry, one line now. So, find it. Inge with my hands. Here's the money. Number.
There is the money number.
No, man, it's the same line. I want a different line.
Oh, the
Enter.
3.4 should be the other number.
Yes.
So, wait.
Then, I'll prepare.
N for them. New line.
Also can?
It's not going to the new line.
Mm.
It just goes in Matram add பண்ணிட்டு
Okay.
Where's the new one? No,
Okay.
you should be the way.
The n you have, the n is only half of the escape character. There's the slash, no what else is there? Backslash.
Backslash is after.
Backslash n is the new line character.
Backslash.
Not just n, not just backslash, but backslash n.
Backslash n.
Both must come as one.
Okay, so just to think,
Good answer?
here is the money.
Okay.
Oh, you don't have any 0.9.
I mean,
you got dollar sign?
no, she put it manually, and the text must be before, it's still under.
Extend.
That means the 8 and 9 line should be the
Yeah, swap the lines, please.
How do do is what?
Can you stop the line?
Oh, basically, the calculation should come later. Again.
Yes.
Upper here is the money and then the whole formula.
Yeah, so I want you okay, basically have a look at my screen. That's kind of the thing I wanted you to achieve.
Oh, come on.
You text first.
Okay.
Below it is the numbers.
Because the dollar sign must only be in a certain spot, is
You
it?
don't care about the dollar sign. I never asked for
Yeah,
it.
because I put it in C syntax.
You see what?
Different.
The reason why she put dollar sign was okay. First, it was in a string. It was in a sentence. And the computer said, okay, these are the characters, I'll put exactly that. But if you put it in your calculation, it's like, what is this dollar sign doing here? A dollar sign isn't a math symbol. Multiply what? Divide by what? It doesn't know. And that's why it's causing a problem. So if you want to put a dollar sign really badly, I guess,
Yeah,
I mean, you could do it, but I would have to teach you something else you don't quite know yet.
Make.
What do you break? This is the end. This is your homework. I'm doing your homework for you. No, I have to go
I didn't
first.
finish earlier.
I didn't finish earlier. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Amma, so take a look here.
Copy it again.
So copy it. I'll tell you why. This is almost correct, but it's still missing something.
Do you like do something to make it to decimal places?
No, I'll accept it as this answer. You can round it, but I'm not gonna bother because that's a later thing as well. Nah, okay, everyone. This is my quote-unquote model answer, but it's not quite there yet. First line says, here's the money. Second line is the calculation. I think I can confidently say everyone has the understanding of the calculation, how it works and why it works. Yes? After yes?
Yeah.
They can. So now I'll go over the first one. There's a reason why I chose this phrase, here's the money. Reason is, there is an apostrophe here. Appa was lucky, he put double apostrophe for your string. And you can choose either, that is fine. But if you do put a single apostrophe at the end, sorry,
If you think it's
it will interrupt it. You see here? It will go from the first code it sees to the second, and it will read this. But then it sees this, and it's too confused as to why it's here. Because for this program, for this Replit.com, strings are like usually orange. But this is not a string because it's not orange. It doesn't know.
Something's wrong.
Reason is this code here. You don't want this to be the end. You want this to be the end. Now, how do you solve this?
You take double quote.
You take double quote, that's one. Because then there'll be different quotes. But then what if the string had double quote? Then
Which is not the same as the other one. The
also can. But what if both use, don't have to use both?
Then just put here is, don't put that thing even.
Okay, here's where I made a mistake. I put it in my notes, but I forgot to tell you guys about it. Remember those backslash escape characters? Backslash n, backslash t. You can use backslash for quotes as well. So, if I put a backslash just before this quote, it's a string now. And if I run it,
Also, it's not.
it'll appear like that. Exactly how it's meant to be. So, just to give a slight recap on the backslash n creates a new line, backslash t creates a tag, backslash quotes prevent those quotes from being printed.
You can't just press the tab button.
You can press the tab button if you want, but let's say you are tight on character limits. Some programming challenges only give you certain characters to quote something. And you can't spend... Tab requires 4 characters sometimes. Backslash T requires 2. Every character counts. But for this, what was I going to say? Yeah, you were saying?
No, because I put the backslash n, you see, so there's a space before the answer. Whereas yours is not. But you were say put in separate lines. So since we have to do the calculation a separate line anyway, there's no need to put backslash n. Right?
Yes. Oh, that's what I wanted to get to. \n is not the only way to print on a new line. You can also use a second print statement, and it will come on a second line as well. So I'll say now, this print is the not better, it's the more common way of printing in multiple lines. So \n, nice to know, but not really that useful.
It's only when you
Can
type
use
long
it.
stuff and you want to split it.
Yes, it's only for big walls of text that you want to separate and look nice. Then you can use \n, \t, \quotation marks. That's when they're most effective. Yeah.
Okay, no, yeah. Okay.
Yes. So that is it for today.
Hey.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Certificate attendance.
My battery is now at 26%, I think. 25%, 45 minutes remaining. Yay!
What is your battery?
My laptop battery.
Okay, so do we save this and you exit or how do you exit?
When you close this window, it will be safe.
Just close it.
Now let's close it. Any close. This top red X can already.
There's a clue there.